Hello, today it's time to review the latest and the finest product created by IMR Acoustics, and you probably already know that today we will talk about the Semper. It's their flagship model utilizing 4 different type of drivers. Here used dynamic driver, piezo driver, planar magnetic, and a pair of self-biased electrostatic drivers. And of course tuning and tweaking such set of different transducers is a hard and complicated task, but luckily IMR succeeded in that and created the most advanced their model. Price of these earphones were 1,100 pounds, but first of all they are already sold out and only will be available on the aftermarket, and second, as usual, IMR did provide some discounts for their loyal customers, so usually you can get some of their models with lower price. Also, traditionally for this company, when this review will be out, this model won't be already available because IMR is a boutique company with small batches. They don't want to build the big production line that will allow them to release big batches of models, so usually all their products are limited from 50 to about 200 items. Maybe they will change something in the future, but currently it's so. And usually when everyone starts receiving the model, it's already not available. And moreover, this model required lengthy extended burn-in, so I wasn't able to release this review before that. But anyway, it's still interesting model. It will be available on the second-hand market, and IMR is preparing some new models, so this review can be kind of proof of concept or demonstration what they can do. They will announce a few models really soon, and they all looks promising, but today we will focus on the Semper, and let's have a closer look. As usual, IMR earphones appears in nice hard case made of fabric. It even has a handle for simplified carrying. It's not convenient for everyday carrying, but for that you can get some small case. Also, I've got additional cable with Pentacon besides the 2 that were included in this box, but I'm not sure is it a standard accessory set or some short time promotion. Inside you will get manual with information about earphones without specifications, with some suggestions about wearing, some information about that, some explanation what combinations you can use. You will get the typical set of tips, 4 pair of silicons, pair of double flanges, 2 pair of foams as usual. Here were earpieces themselves, but I already connect them to cable and I don't want to disconnect them. Also replaceable vent ports, so you can select if you need them open or semi-open, and 2 cables, so 3 cables in the accessories set in total, 3.5mm, 2.5mm and Pentacon. Each cable came with a small leather strap for organization, short clip, 6.3mm adapter, and 2 set of signature filters, so 8 filters for low frequencies and 6 filters for the mids and treble, so for the upper part of sonic spectrum. As usual, they are really hard to pull out, but of course it's still doable. Here they are, so here filters, additional filters here, and also 2 pair of low frequencies filters here, and part of filters is used with earphones themselves. And let's remove this strap. Untangle cable. And here they are. Shells are pretty big, and it's pretty expectable because fitting 4 pretty big drivers, and electrostatic drivers require some energizer. Fitting these energizers, planar magnetic and dynamic and other drivers inside of small shell won't be possible. Not everyone managed to fit this shell inside of ears. I've read few complaints about the fit, but luckily I got a really good fit that is really comfortable for me. Of course, I can't speak about every ears in the world, so keep that in mind, but for me wearing comfort is nice. Spouts have proper angle, so they going into ears under the proper angle, providing pretty good sound isolation, slightly above average, especially if you use this semi-close vent holes. Here is the system of the filters. You can unscrew it completely, and actually it's possible to see partially what's inside, but you can also unscrew only upper part and combine what kind of low frequencies you'd like to get. You can see that here used some foam as a filter, and what kind of upper, mids and treble you'd like to get. All joints are done really nicely, really precise machineering here, and also there are small rubber rings to provide the best fit, so everything is done pretty nicely. And there is a lip for holding the tips, of course, so tips are held really well. For their flagship model, IMR choose black face plates, and it looks pretty stylish to my taste. Here are vent holes. New revisions have some protective grill here, so you can swap them with ease without big problems, changing the sound and altering it. And of course, cable is made replaceable. Connectors are pretty tightly fitting. There is small notch to ensure the correct polarity, but actually you can use any single 2-pin connector without any problems. It will fit, of course, if it has properly extended pins. So third-party cables could be another source of experiments here. Stock cable is pretty good. It's a bit longer than traditional. It's, if I remember right, it's 1.5 meters, and it looks pretty fancy, nicely braided inside the isolation splitter, and after splitter it goes just twisted to the jack. So basically nice cable, average in terms of softness, but without microphonic effect, thanks to the ear hooks. Not easy to tangle, not what else, actually not getting too hard when it's cold outside, so basically good cable. Anyway, to summarize this part, as usual for IMR, really good build quality, nice accessory set, and so on. And of course about the sound, traditionally for the IMR earphones they require a burn-in, and in this case they require a really extended burn-in. About 200 hours is recommended. I gave them about 240 hours of burn-in, and actually during first 120 or so changes in sound were really noticeable, so it's that case when it's better to do the burn-in procedure before proceeding. And of course you'll need to find the proper tips, and you need to select the proper set of filters. I've did a lot of experiments, and currently I'm using this pink set of filters. It was recommended somewhere on the IMR website, if I remember right. But also, as usual, I like my typical black and red type of setup. but in this case I decided to stick with pink and with closed backside. But it's definitely requires that if you'll buy these earphones, definitely spend some time experimenting with filters and finding the options that you will like. I still don't understand people who trying to gather some average opinions from forums or from chats to get like others' opinions what filters should they use, because you know it's just a matter of your taste, so spend some time experimenting and finding what will suit your tastes most of all. And let's have some player on the table. It will be Ultima SP2000. You can also change the sound with tips. You can change sound with cable selection, but I decided not to go that far, because currently there are 48 types of tuning. Multiplied by 2 with this vent ports, it gives us 96, and with tips and cable it will become absolutely numerous. Anyway, let's go back. In terms of sound, Semper are fun, engaging, tuned to be pleasing, tuned to be accented, and giving listeners maximum wow factor, because they have accent on the low frequencies, they have accent on the upper mids and lower treble, and also they have a slight accent on the upper treble and a really extended treble. So what it gives, it's a matter of further description. So low frequencies are accented. You can select the amount of low frequencies. By the way, I will add link to the reference audio analyzer site to the description. They did measurements for Semper, and they have a series of different measurements with different combinations. Of course, they were not able to measure all 96 options, so they select just few of them, and but still they have a big set of measurements. They don't stick only to frequency response, and that's a proper approach to create measurements. Also, they have a well-calibrated rig, so it's one of the few measurement sites that I really recommend, and I will add link to the description. So, bass is accented. You can select the amount of accent you'd like. You can get really a lot of bass. You can get small accent, so I decided to get somewhere in between, a bit shifted towards the lower side of bass presence. Dynamic driver here is good. It's pumping a lot of air, and it gives big, impactful low frequencies with really good depths, going really deep, and giving a lot of impact, giving a lot of kick and presence, and so on. Bass has a good body, and it gives a good body to the whole tune, but at the same time dynamic driver is pretty fast, and that means good amount of small nuances, good representation of acoustic instruments that goes to the low frequencies domain and all stuff like that. So basically universal low frequencies suiting both natural instruments and synthesized lows. So with electronic music and with almost any genre it will be good. Of course, it's not the balanced armature type of resolution, not as dry and as focused on the micro contrast, but more focused on the macro dynamics and more focused on the weight and delivering good weight and presence. And first example track is Massive Attack, Teardrop, and you know this track, you know why it's here, and I selected this track to be a good illustration of low frequencies here. They are powerful, they are present, and at the same time they are pretty well controlled, so they're not shadowing mids and other parts of spectrum. And second example, it's Nguyên Lê, if I read the name properly. and it's a cover version of, actually not even cover version, more like variations based on the Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. The track you see then, it's a great gig in the sky, really unusual reinterpretation, let's say it, because it's not classical cover version, but here used big band, and that means that a lot of instruments going pretty low in the low frequencies domain and require good sense of realism, and these earphones deliver that. And mid frequencies, mainly they are represented by the planar drivers, meaning good balance between the resolution and weight, meaning a good balance between micro contrast and macro dynamics, a bit shifted towards the micro contrast and resolution, but just a slightly bit. It's definitely not the balanced armature type of mid representation, not focused on the giving you all the tiniest and smallest details. Instead, they are giving more the whole picture, the whole track. But at the same time, of course, level of detailization is good, just not focused on the micro contrast. They are pretty critical for the quality of records, but not because of micro contrast focused mids, but more because of treble, because treble here is really extended and present, and that's require good, well recorded and well mastered tracks. And they are really good in representing emotions if they are present in the record, and they give a good weight to the vocal, to the instruments, and so on. Imaginary stage is big, spacious, close to maximum, not at maximum level, but leaning towards that side. So with all that 3D stuff, it's pretty good. You can actually alter a bit stage with these venting ports. With more open ports, you will get a bit wider stage, but at the same time, instruments will be a bit more diffuse, giving you like less focused sources of sound. And also with open ports you'll get a bit less tight low frequencies, so you can also alter that. With this one sound sources are more distinct, with more distinct edges, and also bass is a bit tighter. And as an example for the mid frequencies, first one is Angels of Broken Things, Pain of Salvation. Really like this track, really like this album, and it's almost a ballad, not completely but close. And during the whole track, Pain of Salvation trying to raise the energy of the track, and you waiting for the explosion, you waiting for the hard part, but it's not starts, and basically this track gives you interesting sense of tension. And the main part of that is of course Gildenlow's vocal, and these earphones represent it really nicely and with all necessary emotions. And second track that I really like, it's Eric Clapton's Layla Unplugged, famous version. I really like this unplugged version, recorded live at some big audience. Maybe not that big, but definitely bigger than regular studio, and you'll get that sense of crowd, you'll get that sense of natural acoustic instruments thanks to the technical performance of these earphones, and also accented upper mids giving a bit more forwardness to the acoustic guitar, giving you better sense of presence. And treble is another really interesting part of sound of these earphones. Treble here is definitely extended, and extension goes pretty above the average. From one hand it makes them more critical for the quality of record, because if upper treble is poorly recorded, and it happens pretty often, you'll get all that issues, you will hear them. But from another hand, with really good records, you will get a lot of slight decays, a lot of small overtones, a lot of small nuances, and so on. It's not the balanced armature type of treble representation, not that armature lightweight type of treble. Here you will get better weight, you will get really good layering of treble, you will get nice overtone saturation. But of course, if you're sensitive to treble, it's better to listen to this model before buying. I don't think that it will be too sharp for many people. You can find some filters that will tame treble a little bit, but still they're definitely not trying to hide the upper frequencies. And in this aspect, you need to keep it in mind. And of course, resolution and attacks and decays and all other technical stuff in treble area here is just good. And first example, sorry. So first example, it's David Bowie, the Prettiest Star. Nice orchestral part here with a lot of instruments going to the lower treble area, and also guitar and vocal with overtones, and this earphones plays it nicely, giving you all the necessary details. And Darkness by Robert Plant, great track that I really like, and it's here mainly because of percussions that have good extension, and these earphones play it pretty nicely. In terms of pairing, they don't require something super powerful or something with super black background. They are balanced in terms of specs and sensitivity, but of course they require a technical source, so probably the lowest possible source for them it's Fuse M11 Pro, Shanling M6 Pro, and so on, and even up to the most expensive dubs they have a potential. Of course they can be used with some simpler players, but to unveil the full potential they require something with good driving power, with good control first of all. Speaking about the conversions, you know, not many models that I can recall, and probably the most logical thing here is to compare with some stuff like, I don't know, Campfire Audio Andromeda. Actually, Andromeda is a bit more natural and a bit more audiophilic in terms of tuning, because it's a bit less fun and a bit less energetic and a bit closer to the truth, let's say, while this model is trying to give you more fun. So Solaris is kind of that fun on the lower frequencies like Semper, but on the trebles Semper is overcoming with its fun and energetic representation, while both Andromeda and Solaris being a bit closer to the original record. I don't know, it's better than all other models in the IMR lineup, because they just doing what typical IMR models does, but on the higher level, so give you more energy, more fun, more resolution, and so on and so forth. I won't be trying to recall all other models right now, so if you're interested in some particular comparison, just feel free to ask. But you know, in general, IMR models are standing aside from the rest of the crowd, giving a bit of different representation, and that's what we like them for. And Semper is just a pinnacle of company's signature sound, of company's tuning, and probably if we'll see more interesting models this year, so I'm waiting for the new releases from IMR. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a nice day.